All right, hey people, look, there you are. There you are. Get up here. Okay, hey. All right. Okay. There's Fukushima. Say hi. Get up there. Say hi. Come on. Okay. Oh kid. Yeah, you're big. Okay. All right. So, anyways, there's my Fukushima buddy. All right. Come on. Fuka. Hey, get up. All right. All right. Giganosaurus, get off of me. All right. Anyways, so so Russ Jensen, 5:20 p.m., 16th day of January 2017, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. So I'm going to come back probably tomorrow. I've been working on paperwork for it, for this declaratory judgment. Talk a bit more about what it is, where we're authorized to do it, the authorization in this federal level and at your state. We've all got provisions that give us permission to engage in this kind of a judicial procedure known as a declaratory judgment. And so also what I'm going to be doing, I guess, is, as I said, posting some of this stuff up, but I guess doing it in Google Docs. Probably going to put it somewhere so that other people can come help drafting the declaratory judgment. Nobody has to use mine. But I think it would be good if we can get a group of people collectively inputting ideas and information. Eh? And hopefully we can do it in such a manner that we're all adults, mature, don't come in and just delete everything, put all your stuff in, but do it proper, with notes, suggestions, use different font colors and stuff when we're putting things in, making corrections, putting in additional information. It's not going to be a gigantic document, maybe a couple pages. Has to be, by the time we get done authorizing jurisdiction, making the premise of what we're there for, what we're operating upon, our understanding of the declaratory judgment, what we're doing, okay? But so I'm going to off that for right now. So I'm going to pick that up tomorrow. But I want to get back on or stay on to kind of conclude my little conversations I've been having today about the Constitution as a contract. It's an agreement. And I think what is making my approach, I shouldn't say my approach, but what I've done in the past, where I've had success, is the fact that I have interacted with the sovereigns, the sovereignty, governments, and government officials from a perspective of an understanding of this law of nations. Use language right out of it, right? To speak with them. And that's what I think makes this approach so much more powerful and has so much better opportunity, better, possibilities to get us results that we're looking for, because it's the language that they operate in. Okay? It's what they're bound to. I know a lot of people haven't heard of Law of Nations, but it's there. I did a little one of it before about how valid Law of Nations is, and it really is. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 10 talks about defining felonies and punishments for piracy and all that stuff in the high seas and offenses against the Law of Nations, okay? Contract of the Constitution has terms, conditions, provisions. Law of Nations is a provision in there, or it's one of the terms on the conditions, one of the statutory constructive tools. We start reading this book, Law of Nations, Emmerich D. Patel, 1757. Understand the fact that you're the founding fathers, founding men, okay? Before they even wrote the Declaration of Independence, read this book. Okay? Then they wrote the Articles of the Declaration of Independence, and they did Articles of Confederation, and the Constitution, all predicated upon the principles, the understandings contained, codified, written form of the laws of nature as applied to sovereigns, which are officers, agents of government, and sovereignty, which is the government. Okay? So we read in the preliminaries. I'm going to start reading right out here. There's three primary ones that I think make the greatest statement for us. 7, 8, and 9 in the preliminaries. 7 is definition of the necessary law of nations. We call that the necessary law of nations, which consists in the application of law of nature to nations. It is necessary because nations are absolutely bound to observe it. This law contains the precepts prescribed by the law of nature to states, on whom that law is not less obligatory than on individuals, since states are composed of men, their resolutions are taken by men, and the law of nature is binding on all men under whatever relation they act. Now, Section 8, it is immutable. Since, therefore, the necessary law of nations consists in the application of the law of nature to states, which law is immutable, as being founded on the nature of things, and particularly on the nature of man, it follows that the necessary law of nations is immutable. Now, understanding the definition of immutable means unchangeable, unmovable. Okay? Section 9, nations can make no change in it, nor dispense with the obligations arising from it. Whence, as this law is immutable, and the obligations that arise from it necessary and indispensable, nations can neither make any changes in it by their conventions, dispense with it in their own conduct, nor reciprocally release each other from the observance of it. This is the principle by which we may distinguish lawful conventions or treaties from those that are not lawful, and innocent and rational customs from those that are unjust or censurable. So, we start quoting as our authority to speak to our government officials, government, the terms, understanding, trying to get some understanding of the terms of the contract, what's going on. We're doing it from a perspective from the law of nations, which is codified into your Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 10. They are bound to observe it. It's obligatory on them, same as it is on men, nature. It's binding. It's immutable, can't be changed, can't be moved. And the obligations in it that are defined in it, the obligations then create rights. It's our rights to speak with our servants about what's going on. And a right is what? What is a right? A right is nothing more than the ability to do something. That's it. That's what a right is. And the Constitution was written to protect those naturally occurring rights. The right to do something. And if you really stop to think about, try to understand the concept of self-governance, individuals self-governing, that's what it is. The Constitution then does what? Protects your rights, but it doesn't give them to you, and it can't tell you what those are either. And nobody else can either. Okay? That's where your rights of necessity, rights of individuals, okay, all these things come from. And the fact that you have a right to understand the nature of the jurisdiction, nature of the authority, the nature of the law that is being applied to you, that is an indispensable right. It's a perfect right, one which you can compel, force the other party to comply with the request for the information. In the past, they've done petitions, lawsuits, all kinds of different things, and they always set those aside. Oh, well, they have a right. You have a right to petition, but the government doesn't have an obligation to respond. Okay? That's what your Supreme Court's come back at and said. Okay, that's fine. My right of consent gives you authority, government, gives you benefits, also gives you obligations. Your rights flow from your obligations. One of your obligations to me is to be honest and true with me about what you're doing with the authority that has been delegated to you. Hmm? So powerful. This book's everything. And it applies to every government on this planet. It applies to every human walking around on this planet today. So I think this is the key element that's going to help us get better understanding and create a better dialogue between what's going on now in government and what's supposed to be going on in government. Okay? This is our authority, people. Government is what? People. No such thing as government. It's concept, words on paper. Okay? There are just people. What does it say about that? Right? The law of nature is binding on all men under whatever relation they act. It's obligatory, it's immutable, cannot be unobserved, cannot be set aside. Okay? They cannot dispense with their obligations. They cannot make changes in the law of nations by their conventions. They cannot dispense with the law of nations in their own conduct. And they cannot reciprocally release each other from the observance of it. They have to observe, and in the observance, they can be forced to obey it. That, people, is what we're talking about doing. Forcing our government servants to obey to our perfect right, which gives us the right of force, of compelling. I don't believe in violence, protesting, any of those other things, okay? Force can be applied in all kinds of ways. And right now, what we're going to start doing is opening a civil dialogue through a legal procedure that I believe is viable for this. Might not be, I don't know. Well, all we can do is take the action and see how they respond, what they say or don't say. No matter what happens, it's instructive for us. Helps us learn things. And that's what this is about. So, everybody have a great night. Love everybody. Appreciate everybody helping out. Starting to get some people making some comments. And I said, please stop and think for a second. Listen to what I'm saying, people, before you start making these asinine statements that some people are making. I don't claim to be the Supreme Court. I don't claim to be able to dispense justice like that. Okay? Understand. Read what it says. Read how Article 3, the first sentence, what it says. Okay? And then understand the concept of individual governance, self-governance, and you would understand the fact that the Constitution, we can't delegate judicial authority like we did legislative power. Can't delegate judicial power to a group. Authority is singular, always. You are the supreme authority in your existence, aren't you? Okay. A court is what? You and your space. That's it. That's what a court is. Okay? So there can only be one Supreme Court, and that is you. And the judicial power of the United States, the judicial power of the people, we the people of the United States, okay, has to be invoked by you in your individual capacity in a law forum. Your existence here all by yourself. You have to create your rights for yourself. You have to defend those for yourself. And we create governments to give us a structure and environment so everybody kind of has an idea of what the rules are. Okay? You are the one Supreme Court. They are a legislatively creative inferior court created by Congress. Read the congressional minutes from when they were writing that act, and you'll see that's what they say. So, anyways, have a good day. Good night. I'll talk to everybody tomorrow. We're going to start picking this stuff up and hopefully get some people, I guess, contributing some different ideas. And hopefully we can have some of these websites finished here shortly. But I'm really excited about our future. I think we have a chance, an opportunity to really start making some meaningful progress. So, love everybody, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.